So now I don't have any of that green outline. I can turn the layer off. That's what we started with. And this is how we ended. So easy. All right, welcome to the channel. Looking at this beautiful shot of Sarah. Everything looks gorgeous except for one thing that's bothering me right here. Look at that. We zoom in a little bit. We've got these green nails with a red background. So what can we do about that? Well, we can take this into Photoshop, and this is really easy. So if you're afraid of Photoshop, don't be. I'll go step by step, and we can change the color of these nails. All right, so I've got the image opened in Photoshop now. What I'm going to do is zoom in just like this, and you can see obviously we've got the green nails. So let's create a new layer, and we're going to do that by coming down here. See this little semicircle down here at the bottom? We're going to click that, and we're going to create a hue saturation layer. So just click on hue saturation, and that makes a hue saturation layer. With me so far? All right, so click on, this is called the mask, right? So you want to click on this part. So make sure this piece is activated, and then you get the properties of hue saturation. What do you think that allows us to do? Well, it allows us to change the hue, which is the color of the picture, right? And it's doing the entire shot right now. So if I zoom out, right, and I'm adjusting these sliders, it's doing the whole picture, right? But what we want to do is, I'm going to change this back to 0, is target in just on this green color in the nails, right? So if we do that, and I'm going to come over here and just zoom in, we're going to come up here, and I'm going to click on the little finger here, and we'll use that, and we'll select, gives us a little dropper here. I don't know if you can see that. Select the green. And now what it's done, it has set the greens, it has made the greens active. If you drop that down, you can see I could have just picked greens to begin with. But if you're looking at, some different, in between colors, maybe you want to pick it. But it did pick greens for me, right? So we are only modifying the greens in this photo, right? So the first thing maybe that comes to mind, maybe I just want to desaturate them. I was thinking I probably want to change the green to something that matches the background, like the red, right? But what happens if I just desaturate only the greens? So let me pull that slider down, and you can see the greens are now, they're kind of a gray color. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Holding down the space bar to get the hand key, and that allows me to move the picture around, right? So I've got not really what I was looking for. So let me bring back that saturation. Somehow we got on the magentas. Make sure greens are selected. Bring that saturation back to somewhere around 0. So let's just make it simple. Let's just target, let's just change the hue of the greens. Instead of desaturating it, let's grab this hue, which changes the color. Can you guess it? If you go to the right, it goes more blue. To the left, you see that? To the right, we got blue. So just keep going and look at that. Now I've got a red color, right? And when we zoom out a little bit, that's going to go better with this red on the background. And I'm going to zoom back in a little bit. I'm just doing Control plus and Control minus to zoom in and out on the keyboard. Maybe I want it a little bit darker because the background is a dark red. I can use this lightness tool. It's very intuitive, right, how this works. And bring the lightness down, and you see how I have a dark red now on the nails. Now, if you zoom in, you see I still have a little bit of a greenish yellow outline. Let me zoom all the way out. What you want to make sure of, we're doing green in this case, right? There's really no green in the image. If we're doing other colors, we might be affecting the entire image. So what I wanted to do was zoom out and make sure that nothing that I've done has impacted, say, any of the other colors in the shot, right? Her skin tone in particular. So it doesn't look like it has. I'm going to turn our changes off, and nothing has changed. I mean, she looks the same. So just because mainly I'm using green, it's really not impacting the skin tones or anything else. That's why they use a green screen, right? Anything else in the image. So let me zoom back in here. So I've got the layer off. Let me turn the layer back on. See, you can see the difference. There's off and there's on. So we've got a really nice color red that also goes with the background there. But, you know, what else do we have here? We still have some outlines of some yellowish green. That's what I was getting at. So what can we do with that? Well, let's come over here to these sliders, and this is what is included in the quote-unquote sample. The range of colors that you're including, that you're modifying, is within this left dial here and this right one here. So if I expand, say, this left one out this way, it's going to include more yellows, oranges, and reds. Now, I don't want to go into the reds. That's going to be more inclusive, right? I don't want to go too far, because if I go into the reds, it's going to start, what do you think, impacting her lips, her skin tone, that kind of thing potentially. So I just want to move, I want to include some more of the green in there so that it picks up this little outline, right? So maybe I just drag this slider right here to the left and watch closely to the color as I drag it to the left. It is gone. Look at that. Now you want to then Control 0 will zoom the canvas all the way out. Make sure that when I brought that slider, see, I'm dipping into the reds almost a little bit as far as what's included in my sample, and that would be her lips and potentially makeup items on the skin, right? So let's turn the layer off. And you can see, very subtle, it started to get into the skin. I'm going to turn it back on. See how the skin tone changes a little bit? So we might have brought it a little bit too far, but what can we do to prevent it from basically spilling out onto the rest of the photo? Well, we use this mask. So what I can do is mask out the entire photo, and then so that the only thing that actually shows is the areas that I edited. So that'll make more sense in a second. So right now the mask is set to white. What am I going to do? I'm going to set it, the entire mask, I'm going to invert it. I'm going to hit Control I. Make sure the mask is selected here. If you're not familiar with masks, I need to make a video on how masks work probably. But go look into masks and how they work. But for now, you can follow along if you're not familiar. I'm going to hit, make sure the mask is selected, this white piece, white rectangle. I'm going to hit Control I on the keyboard. That's going to turn it to black. What did that do? All the changes that I made on this layer, they got erased when I changed this to black. What happens when I change it back to white? Control I again. The changes are there. So when I change it to black, it masks out my changes that I made. And these changes were global. They were on the entire picture. So what the mask allows me to do, what if I want to just impact just the nails? I just want the nails. I want the hue saturation changes that I made to only impact the nails and not the rest of the picture. All right. So in order to reveal the effect of the red that I put on the nails, I'm going to paint white on the mask. Why? Well, I just showed you. Control I. White reveals the nails, right? Control I again. Now the change that I made, the color, the red, is concealed. So if I paint white on just a portion of those nails, now you can see I went to my paintbrush and I've got white or black down here. I can hit these two arrows and I can toggle between the two. I want white because I want to reveal the changes that I made of red. And I'm going to use, you can use a mouse for this, but I'm going to use a brush. And my flow is right now is at 20, and I'm going to set it to let's say 70, because I really we could even set it to 100 if you want. I really want to. This is the power of the flow of your brush, right? So I'm going to just set it to 100%, and it's the hardness is set to 0%. That's this one right up here at the top. You click on that, and the hardness will come up. Maybe I set it to like 50%. That's going to be the softness of the edges as I paint on. Hardness will be kind of a harder outline. So again, black mask, painting white over here with a paintbrush. And what's going to happen when I paint white on a black mask, I will reveal the changes that I made, right? Just like that. And maybe I make my brush a little bit bigger. Really, all I am concerned about is not impacting the skin tones on her body, her lips, her face. So now I've localized my hue saturation change to just an area that I painted white onto the black mask, right? So I can come in here. I just made it a little bit larger and see that? And I can come over here, paint this one, for example, and it does a really nice job. And we'll do this one over here. I'm not going to do both hands, just as an example. So there you go. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. You can see the red. I missed a finger. I can come over here, paint right like that, right? I can see the red, and the effect that I did is only where I painted it on right here. If I go out now and I'm going to zoom into her lips and her face like we did before, it was real subtle, but I'm going to turn this off, and you can see now it's not, there's no change to the skin tone or the lips. The only change that I have is down here on the nails, and that is because of the mask that I painted on the hue saturation layer. Hopefully that was really clear for you beginners. Hopefully you were able to follow along okay. If I go too fast, make a comment down below, but you always have the pause button and the rewind, right? You can always go back. So hopefully this helped you out. Give this video a like if you liked it. Give me a subscribe if you want to see more. Leave a comment, and I appreciate it as always.